when we used to play before like Live Nation and before House of Blues and before like nice venues, when we were doing the punk rock circuit, you know, we had 3 little fire extinguishers with 3 colors, and we didn't even have a compressor. We got to town, we'd have to ask somebody that just kind of showed up early to take us to a gas station to fill them up. And then if it went all over the ceiling or went on the walls, it didn't matter because we were playing, you know, with the punk rock dive club. And as we started moving to better and better places, you know, Dave had a very punk rock heart and mind, and he just loved to like ruin places. And
he'd mark them.
The last night we played this place in Pittsburgh, ever, it had a drop ceiling, and I just remember him taking the sword that shot blood out and just not even putting it on the crowd at all. He just soaked the roof, the ceiling caved in into the crowd about the 4th song, and we never played there again. But it's a great memory.
Well, we have a history of that, getting banned for those kind of problems, because the second time Gwar ever played, when they were still death kicking basically in costumes, we dumped a bunch of Caroserve in a brand new monitors, much like the one at the end of that desk. And we were banned from 930 Club for years before they finally put us back in. So, live and learn.
You got a question over there, Orc?
Yes. Yes, what kind of materials do you use to fabricate your gear?
What kind of
You
material?
need an Orc translator, somebody.
Fabrication. How do you make your stuff?
Materials to fabricate. Yeah. Okay, so to start off with, and this is a long history, the evolution. Hunter Jackson, he would basically rate dumpsters for carpet foam. Also, go to thrift stores and just take sports equipment, you know, football pads, hockey equipment, modify those, much like Road Warriors. Then from there, we started taking seat cushion foam. You could, with contact cement, layer it and then carve it with scissors. Then we refined that by learning you can sand. Soft foam, and we would latex that. Oh, originally we used cloth glue.
Yeah.
Cloth glue. You take Elmer's glue, strips of cloth, and reinforce it with.
It's the cheapest thing you can do. You
Yeah,
can find
yeah.
bed sheeting, cloth and glue, and make whatever you want.
But we soon found that Elmer's-based cloth glue props would start to dissolve and melt with water. Elmer's glue doesn't repel water. And so from there, then we did our first latex covered carved foam props and soft sculpt. And then from there, we started sculpting in clay. We sculpted a clay prop, and then we did a mold. Then we slushed the inside of the mold with latex, and we were learning to pour polyfoam that was unmixed. Mix the polyfoam and pour it into the mold to fill up the space. And then we've pretty much been there ever since. We silicone molds.
We can't do like movies effects because Gwar's so rough on everything. It's like we get wet every day. It goes into a box. It gets into the next club. We beat the crap out of it on stage. You know, we go on and on and on. So it has to be really heavy duty.
Basically, a Gwar prop has to be able to do this. Yeah. Visualize taking something you made and throwing it into a swimming pool. Leave it there overnight. Then stain it red. Then take it out, put it in the sun, let it dry out, then beat the crap out of it. Then throw it in a box, let it grow mold.
Yeah. That is the big danger on the road.
And then start that cycle again and do it on a daily basis for months at a time.
Yeah, we used to do egg noodles as well. Like stuff would grow on it and
Maggots.
you'd have to put it on the next night. It'd be all crunchy and moldy.
Have you ever encountered any fans on the road that have actually made their own costumes and you guys
all the time. All the time. In fact, we love seeing that. When you see the guy out in the crowd in the costume, it's just so much fun. You know, to a certain extent, you inspired that person to do that. You know?
And the crappier they are, the better.
Now,
Cardboard, I mean, I love it. Anything is great.
in fact, there was one that managed to get on American Idol. He did of course he was immediately rejected, but he managed to get on the show and get in front of the camera and go nationwide with it. It's like, right on.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of some of the costumes and some of the stage gags, has there ever been anything you guys have come up with that you kind of pull back and go, okay, that's way too much for us? No? there's something
Have
out
you
there.
seen a Gwar show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We handle those.
the only thing is that we want to be theater, but we play in clubs. So some nights we have, a real light truss and everything. I mean, if we were able to get to a point where we could do real like opera and ballet, where we had fly rigs every night. We always wanted like Zalborg to fly in, with a big like exhaust and really go nuts.
30-foot
But,
cardinal
you know,
sin smashing through. That'd be
For
great.
playing a 400, 500 seater on a Tuesday night and then playing a 2,500 seat on Friday, we cram everything every single night. We get away, but we have to build things. We have to compromise. When we build something, we know it's like this has to fit in both spots. And sometimes we can add things and make it bigger, but we want it there for the kids every single night. So the only thing where we pull back on is just being able to actually do it every night. So we compromise some of the design to say like, we want to show this in Akron, Ohio on a Tuesday night. So other than that, no.
So maybe one day you guys can do like some big giant stadium show.
Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas. Why not? Yeah,
Yeah,
Vegas.
like
That's when we sell out.
Yeah.
Vegas show.
Vegas temple, you'd have the Antarctic temple at the top of the casino. You can see the war show, like, under the stars.
Warsino, if you will.
You got another
Garcia.
question, Mark?
Yeah, you got one more?
Are you guys playing around here anytime soon?
In the fall.
In the fall. Yep.
Awesome, look forward to it.
Right on.
Back to Mordor with you.
Wear that outfit. Good
Probably
costume.
Warehouse 5, House of Blues, something like that, like we're used to seeing you guys at.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Warehouse 5, I know those bunkers there, they love you guys. Everybody gets so excited for cleaning up afterwards.
Yeah.
It's a big fun thing. They really do enjoy you guys. You right there.
I need to know how many Gorgors have you made?
Ooh, good question, good question.
Don, the first one was made by Hunter Jackson, and it was basically the old school technology, carved foam, and cloth and glue, sort of like roughly used together, and it had a moving jaw, which we thought was just the high point of technology. And basically, it was the upper jaw that moved, and we had a broomstick inside. It would shove up and down, so it would eat like this. So then we did the next one, Dave Muscle, who's a really unsung genius of the band. He had so much impact in Gwar getting out there and being what it is now, and I could go in for a half an hour just talking about him. But he built the frame, and I carved out of foam and created the head around it, and we used hard foam for that, with a soft sculpted carpet foam skin, which was latexed over, and then we had a carpet foam body, which I soft sculpted, and we had pretty much a simple frame. I think the tail was just dragged around. That was about it. And then the third one I built where we decided we wanted to have it more realistic as a dinosaur movement, so we basically had a seesaw sort of frame on it where the head went out in front and the tail was behind, and they both were off the ground, and they kind of counterbalanced each other. But once again, it was carpet foam, a lot of flexi rod, fiberglass flexi rod, and a lot of fiberglass. So the head itself was sculpted in clay. That was just what a
Process.
what a process to sculpt that out of clay. Because what you learn is making an armature to hold the clay up the head is an engineering feat in its own. It only takes, like when you're on that scale, it only takes an extra inch of clay, and your whole armature may collapse while you're sculpting on it. So we sculpted out of clay, did a plaster mold, then we take the plaster mold, latex inside of that, then we fiberglassed a frame inside of the latex skin. And then you pull the fiberglass frame out, and then you pull the skin out, and then you reattach it all, and you gotta add the teeth and all that stuff, and light up eyes, and so on and so on. Is there anything else?
Only
She wanted to know how many Gorgors.
There was 3 altogether.
Well, 4, technically.
Technically 4, yeah.
There was
Four zombies.
So there were like kind of like there's a Gwar 1, I mean there's a Gwar 1, there's a Gwar 2, there's a Gwar 2.5, which was Gwar. Then there's a Gwar 3, which didn't really get done right.
A lot. Here we go.
Yeah, it didn't quite get done right. It wasn't finished quite right. And then there's a 3.5, which is the one that you basically see.
That's the current one.
The current one that's been at going since about 90
He's like
years.
sort of
Zombie Gwar.
Yeah,
And I think he's about to be retired, isn't he?
Well, we're gonna redo him, I think.
Yeah, redo him.
Do they become front doors?
What's that?
Do they become front door? Just put it on your door frame?
Yeah.
Or end up in the restaurant. Who
Yeah.
knows?
I don't know.
My other question, as a derby girl, I'm curious, who's the smelliest member of your band after the show?
Well, odorous was obviously the smelliest company.
He was, yes.
That's what gets the girls
Okay,
hot.
who takes the cake for this past tour?
Look, Gwar stinks.
Basically, that's what everybody.
There's a smell that, like, I mean, the other bands, the clubs,
You should smell our dressing room right now.
our wives and girlfriends.
Here's the thing, when BO soaks into athletic foam, it's one smell, but when BO soaks into the type of rubber we use, it's a very different smell. And we're pretty much immune to just the sort of normal bad smell.
Yeah.
It's just a weird smell. But people that work in arenas and stuff that know athletic BO, and then we show up, they go like, oh, there it is.
Derby girls and derby dudes smell totally different.
Yeah,
I'll smell
totally.
you guys next time.
Totally.
Yeah, basically it smells like the shower room at a YMCA.
Yeah, pretty close. We'd play these festivals and we'd be in these ginormous, dressing room areas, and the other band would be like, there'd be 3 or 4 dressing rooms down, and like, what's that horrible smell? It's like wafting down the corridor of the, Enormo Dome,
When I would tour, I would be immune to it. I didn't even notice it. And then when I wasn't touring, I'd visit the guys backstage like, oh, yeah.
One more here. Hello.
Hi.
Let me start by, I just want to...
I couldn't find your booth yesterday.
I was there, dude.
I
What a great argument. I'm not there today, though. Because of you.
Nice and loud.
Okay, I just wanted to pay some respects to Dave Brocky. He was an amazing guy.
Yes, he was.
Most possibly the greatest improv artist I've ever seen.
Oh, totally.
In fact, all of y'all are amazing. Seeing interviews and stuff when people ask you questions on the spot in costume, you just spout off the most amazing remarks. I just wanted to share a story. The first time I was ever introduced to Gwar was from a little trading card that came out of like Pop Superstars.
Yeah.
You were mixed in with other bands like
Right next to
Vanilla Ice and all that. And
It's
I
on the
was-
Right next to Vanilla Ice.
Yes. I was 12 years old, had no idea who Gwar was. I was terrified, but I still have that card to this day.
That's awesome.
When I was 14 was the first time I actually seen a Gwar video. By that time I was into metal music and everything. I'd fall asleep watching Headbangers Ball, and in the middle of the night, Gwar comes on, and from that moment I was hooked. And
Nice.
I've been to almost every possible show I could go to. I've taken little kids with me to Gwar shows.
What's wrong with you? Did you know your children?
That's awesome.
But other than that, that's all I can think of.
Thank you.
No, thank you. That was
Thank
awesome.
you.
That's right, I forgot. Ricky Rockman was the other guy at TV that was behind us. I forgot about him.
And,
We
just
made fun of him for it merciless.
right, yeah. Well, you were talking about Dave Brocky. I mean, yes, without question, and I want to make sure that everybody here knows that the band, Don, embedded in the story that he told you was the story of 2 artists, Hunter Jackson and Dave Brocky. And, that's it. That's Gwar in the beginning, right? And then there was a lot of other people that helped and brought and made it into what it was, or what it is now. But there's more to Gwar than being a band that dresses up and then does stuff on stage that's, Gwar is funny, and the violence that we do is not real, and it's not real looking, and we don't try to make it real looking, and there are reasons for that, and Dave Brocky's sense of humor and his ability to, I said this at his funeral service, but I really believe that he's one of the greatest rock and roll frontmen ever. Like he had a sort of way about him on stage of reacting and just carrying an audience that nobody's trying to take. I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to do that on stage. But it was awesome.
I could add one more accolade on him. He's one of the most ingenious, if not the most ingenious, improv comedians I have ever witnessed. He's Robin Williams level. Being with him for 30 years and doing interviews with him, in character and whatnot, that guy was never at a loss for words. Ever. He never let the moment intimidate him either. It was like, doesn't matter. Didn't matter how foolish the whole scene was, where we were, what was going on. He would make it work for him.
We were in this restaurant. A bunch of people got pneumatic, or what is it? A type of lung virus. We had to cancel the tour, and we were driving home from Ottawa, Canada, and in the middle of the winter in 1991, and we still had makeup on. Like a day later, we hadn't stopped for a shower. We were in this weird family restaurant, and we still had makeup on, and we looked totally weird. We were in somewhere in Wyoming, and these little kids came up to us. They were like 14. They could tell we were a band or something. They came up to us and they go like, "You guys are a band?" And Dave, deadpan, without breaking anything, looked at him and was like, "You guys cops?" And it was one of the funniest. I aspire to that.
He would be funny when nobody was watching.
Yes, that girl.
Question.
It's kind of hard to follow. Are any of y'all tabletop gamers? And if so, what is your favorite character to play? And can we see their story arcs in your work?
Are you asking? Did you say tabletop game?
Yeah, like D&D,
The very Gwar is like tabletop gaming was essential
Big time.
in Gwar, and what Hunter Jackson and some of his friends had developed a sort of bastardization of like turn-based role-playing miniatures, and Hunter would make these characters, and a lot of like the characters of Gwar were in that game, especially like the early ones, Cardinal Sin, Techno Destructo, but he would make ones that it was so much fun. And Gwar was a bunch of freaking geeks.
That's
on the
where
road.
That's where the death pod actually came from. That was the thing that Dave had that would bounce around the board and like kill everything.
He hated the
That
death
thing
pod.
sucked. And then when you killed that, Dr. Mechano jumped out of it. He was like,
Brocky cheated at role playing.
Cheater. Death Pod was a cheating bunch of BS.
Yeah, it was bullshit.
Talk about your Nazi skeletons with the red skull.
To step back
He
here
got killed.
and have perspective, a lot of people don't know what Death Pod is. A lot of, Gwar's unfolding fake narrative involves songs about things that Gwar encounters and activities, and a lot of those are based in board games. So Death Pod is
I'll give you one other funny one that Hunter did when Blood Bowl came out, which I don't know if anybody knows. It's a football kind of Warhammer game, and he made magnetic bases for all the figures so that we could play it on the bus when we rolled down the street, so the figures wouldn't fly all over the board, so you could keep your guys in.
Yeah, we played it on our school bus, which we traveled on, not a tour bus. But it was cool, man, because it wasn't like the Space Marines. We had Space Marines. We had undead Nazi soldiers, but we also had the Fat Albert gang, right? The Brown Hornet and Fat Albert himself, it was really fun, man. It was, especially, I was in high school, so I had an excuse.
Later on, there was an actual actual led Gwar game in
Yes.
1999. And I see them come up on eBay still occasionally, and it was called Rumble in Antarctica. And they're, okay, yeah. The company went out of business in like 2001. The two owners got into a fight, but you can still find them, and you can incorporate them in any of those games. They're great little figures. They're
Yeah,
really
they're
well
still great.
We got
Maureen,
one.
you have something to say?
Yeah, I'll say in a minute, but I've watched a lot of talk shows like Jerry Springer and stuff. And as far as I can tell, y'all are the only band that's ever been on a Jerry Springer show. And how did that come about? Did they approach y'all?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, it was always like somebody's management contacted our management and said, "You want to do this?"
Yeah, it was really cool because we wrote him into that show, and I played the version. We made a mask, sculpted a mask, and I would play him out there. And the night that he actually showed up, we were like, "Oh, could you play that part?" And he totally did it. So he went out and he played himself, and we had a redneck, we had the bad biker bitch, we had all these,
The show started out the way
he basically was like, going to do the interview with these fake characters, and this fan takes a lighter from the stage and hums it out.
It wasn't one thing.
Yeah,
He was getting pelted the moment it came out.
but it knocked his glasses off, and he was like fumbling around. He was leaning over to his assistant, kind of off stage. He was like, "This is bullshit." He's like, but he came out and did everything professional. It was great. It was awesome.
That's why he had to have a couple of us on later, because I think he was so mad about that incident that he had to ambush us later on.
Put us on the hot seat.
Sly Mansterheim had to take the wrath. We weren't there, thank God.
So we got 5 minutes left. We're done here. We're almost done here now. I want to hear about the box set coming up in the fall. It's different from the book, right?
Could be
Let's
just
go. Everybody's stuck up here.
Hey.
All right, it better be good.
Always.
Alright, cool, thank you. What was it like to get to work with Jello Biafra, and do you have any other celebrities, musicians, anything that was...
Oh yeah.
He's hilarious.
It involved a lot of listening. Because he talks a lot. It was fun. It
Steals pizza too.
Biafra is an idol of ours, and it was great, and he's been a solid supporter of Gwar from the beginning, and we love that guy.
And it's funny that you say that because that was same time we had Sebastian Bach in that same movie. He was his dog face too, and he was fun.
Interesting fact about that whole incident, right? He took that role very seriously.
Oh yeah.
And so we would, we had to do hours and hours of putting the, all the prosthetics on him. And while he was putting that on, please do not refer to me as Jello. I am boss, only boss Blom from here on.
He's a man.
Wouldn't answer to Jello, they had to be boss Blom today.
So you asked us about the box set.
Yes.
Bob.
I guess I'm the project coordinator. Anyone else can chime in.
All right, I'll chime in.
It's really Metal Blade has been our main label for a really long time, on and off. We have our first two albums weren't on Metal Blade originally. They put them out later. We were on DRT for 3 albums. The box set is every single CD we've ever done in one set. It's a 14th CD of B-sides, outtakes, demos, rarities, like the song from Dan Patrick. There's a 45 in the box set that has the 2 AV Club, the last thing Odorous did, the first thing Lothar has done with us singing. There's a 100-page book, which art and stuff. There's lithographs from every single Slave Pit visual artist, Don, Matt, myself, Chuck Varga, Rocky, Hunter. So it's just sort of a retrospective. It's coming out while we're on tour this fall.
Are you looking at video content for that thing too? Or?
No. I mean, if that got into the price, would be like a little. Like I think we'll probably end up doing something else like that. Like the other thing is that I mean, everyone else can chime in. The budgets don't just add up with streaming and all that. Like just to make a movie that I don't know where we're going to go with that kind of stuff for Slave Pit, because it just doesn't seem anyone. I mean, Metal Blade was
never did anything with them. We didn't do the right stuff with them. But the reason why we haven't done anything like that in a long time is that no one's got the budget to throw at us. So that's something to be explored. Most of those, we just re-released Phallus on DVD again. So that's that's a brand new product right now.
On vinyl, you get that out too, just recently.
Yeah, but anybody else can chime in on the box set. It's basically every album we've ever done.
There's going to be a dime bag of crack in every class.
Well,
You're going to move on right off the shelf.
thank you to Gwar for coming in and doing this.